Hi, this is the Daily Overpass. My name is Eric. I make apps. Today I want to talk about feeling lazy. Okay, so today I want to answer a question from our good friend Shivam Pandey, who asked us on episode 53. Hi Eric, how do you manage laziness? I'm bored and got no ideas for apps or designs. I'm not being productive nowadays. I think I should go out, but there's no one to meet. I'm really depressed with myself. Any advice, please? Now, I tend to keep pretty busy. I wake up, and if you follow me on Snapchat, you'll know this is true. I get up at about 4 o'clock every morning. I'm usually in the office by 4:30, and I'll do a few hours of work until about 7 in the morning. And it's mainly because it gives me some time to myself to catch up on some things that weren't done with no interruptions, no distractions, and it just sort of gives me an extra 10 hours a week, really, right? And I go to the gym at 7 o'clock because if I don't set it as a schedule, I won't go. I'll get too lazy and won't go. But if I make a habit of it, I'll go. So I'll go to the gym, and then after the gym, I'll go home, see the kids off to school really quickly, have a shower, and then I come back into the office, and then I work the full day here. And that there could be meetings throughout the day. There's usually projects I have to work on. It's uploading a bunch of apps, making screenshots, that kind of stuff, trying to find new clients, and that's until about 6. And then I'll go home for dinner. Sometimes I'll come back after dinner and just work on some more stuff. Right. So, but having said all that, I feel lazy a lot. I mean, I think it's something we all feel, right? As software developers, there are days, there could be, several days in a row where you just feel like you just feel either lazy or depressed, right? And sometimes they're both the same, right? There's times where I just feel like, oh, what's the point? Nothing's working. Maybe I'll just go find a job. Maybe I'll just go, maybe I'll just do something else. And and you get into this. It's like you get into a funk, right? You get into this, like in your. I know this in my head. I'll get into this state in my head where I think, oh, of course this isn't working. Of course this isn't doing. Okay, so you're in this spiral of negative feelings, and nothing's working. What's the point? Oh, ad mob revenue was down today. Oh, nobody bought this. Oh, great, I got another email with a problem with the app. Oh, great, such and such. Right, and when I think about it, I think it. I always track it down to probably about two different reasons. And this is just my opinion. I'm sure if you Google how to get over laziness or go find it on YouTube, you'll find loads of people who talk different stuff about it. But I usually find it has to do with either I haven't had exercise in a while, or I've lost excitement in what I'm working on. And in terms of the first one, haven't exercised in a while, that sounds like BS. I realize that sounds like BS. That sounds like something the jock would say, or the PE teacher. Your problem is you just aren't doing enough push-ups, right? Or my drill sergeant or whatever, right? But I do find that if I go too long without getting any exercise, especially in a job like this where I sit in this chair for 8 hours at a time or 10 hours, or just let the whole day go by, I don't get any exercise, and I could go a whole day without having a conversation with anybody, right? So, and you do kind of get this lethargic feeling where you're just like, oh, whatever, right? And then, but I find if I get up and walk around, go for a walk, if I go for a run, I feel really good, but sometimes that's not a possibility, but I could do some push-ups or something like that. The nice thing about being in your own office is you could do whatever you want. I could do handstands if I wanted to. If I was capable of it, right? So that's one of the things I do to kind of get out of that funk, that feeling of laziness. The second one is usually because I've lost excitement about what I'm working on. And this happens more often with client projects than it does with my own projects. But usually I have so many things to work on that if I feel really lazy with one project, I could go work on another one. So it's almost like I feel like I'm slacking off on one thing, but I'm working on another thing. And it's usually like I'm always procrastinating on something, right? Like if I'm supposed to be doing a client project and I decide I want to do this video, then that's usually I'm procrastinating on something. If I work on my own projects, then it's just because I'm procrastinating on the client. If I'm not uploading the apps that I'm supposed to upload, then I might be procrastinating something else because it just doesn't. And a lot of times it has to do with, as software developers, you get into this part in a project where you hit it's like you get stuck in the mud, right? It could be something like a database query isn't running properly, or you're trying to access an API and for whatever reason it's not working, despite the fact that you followed all the directions and all this kind of stuff, and you get into this funk where it just feels like, you know, oh, you hit like a roadblock, and then you kind of get into this, oh, nothing's working, or you're working on a part of a project that's just not, it's not interesting, it's not fun, like the login form, like on a lot of websites and apps, you might have to do a login form. For me, that's what it always, you know, it's just so dull, so boring, right? And then you do the login form, you go, okay, good, that's done. And then they'll say, oh, you forgot forgot my password or reset password, all that stuff. Like, oh, all right, right? So, and you just do that, right? So sometimes it's just pushing ahead until you get through that block. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll switch technologies, or I'll try to do like a new project and a new technology just so I can learn that new technology as I go. So like Angular 2, that was one thing that I thought, you know, we did a project recently where I thought, let's do this in Ionic 2, even though it was still in beta, just to make it interesting, just to make it fun. And you know, so we're picking up some new stuff because it was starting to get, you know, a lot of the apps were getting very, very much the same. Because I think that software developers, you know, because we're very, you know, we sit in the same chair for a long time. You know, we don't necessarily have to have conversations with people all the time. And like for me, I'm very introverted, so I don't talk to people all the time. I mean, I've lived in the same little town for the last 18 years. Most people don't know who I am. Like if anybody ever says hello to me in the street, it shocks me because most people don't know who I am, except the people who work in the fast food places, right? So that's my own issues there, right? But you know, and software developers, I mean, we can get really lazy. I mean, have you ever been so lazy that you couldn't be bothered to search for an email, right? Or like, have you ever been so lazy that you couldn't be bothered to do something because that would require moving the mouse to the other side of the screen and clicking on something and having it open, right? I can remember being so lazy, all I had to do was drag something from one area to another, and I was like, oh, you know, I can't be bothered. You know, you do this, you know, repetitive task over and over again, and it's like, it's nothing. And sometimes I have a box set of like The West Wing, and sometimes I'll watch like 3 episodes of The West Wing while I do very repetitive, boring tasks, and I just kind of have it on. I mean, somebody asked about why I have so many monitors. Sometimes I'll have like a TV show on in one monitor while I'm working on something that might be really, really dull. You know, and then there's other times where you have to really give something 100% focus, and that's the exciting stuff. Those are those unique opportunities where time just flies by. Like you just go, hey, it's dark. You know, when did that happen? You know, I must have been working. It feels like you're working on something for 20 minutes, and then like you realize 4 hours have gone by, but you've been so, you know, in the flow that you've just been working on it. So anyway, when it comes to feeling, you know, lazy, I mean, I think Shivam, either it's just me and you, or everybody who watches this feels lazy at some point. And let us know in the comments, because you know, I think we all get that way, right? And in terms of getting out and meeting other people, like I said, I never, you know, hardly anybody knows who I am. I will go to networking events or going to app events, and with the full intention that I'm gonna shake hands with people, I'm gonna get to know people, right? And I never do, right? I'm the guy who stays by the coffee area, like for the whole time. And I've read books on this, just some books that I happen to have here in the office. This doesn't include the ones I have at home. I've got Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi about networking. Yeah, it's actually pretty good, but I've never done anything from it. Harvey Mackay's Dig Your Well Before You're Thirsty, which is also very good about networking. Also Harvey Mackay's other book called Swim with the Sharks Without Being Eaten Alive. There's one called How to Work a Room. All this kind of stuff, which is about getting out there, networking, and being extrovert and all this kind of stuff. But I just don't, when I get out in front of a crowd of people, I just sort of, you know, go in. So you know, it's been a long time since I've been out on my own, but you know, I used to love to go to the movies and stuff by myself. I used to prefer that kind of stuff. And I think if you're feeling lazy all the time, you just need to switch and find a project that excites you. If it's not an app, you know, if you're not excited about putting out an app, then, you know, do something else. Or you could do is find a shorter project. So get to something where you can finish it more quickly. Like I find sometimes if I'm feeling really lazy, I'll have to find it like a quick win, something that like maybe a bit of code that I know I'm going to finish it this afternoon, right? So that I could get, because I know if I put it down and try to come back to it later, I'm just not going to have that that I'm gonna lose momentum and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, that's it. Those are my opinions. Again, I think we all have that. You know, it's, you know, and you know, it's nice being in an office. Sometimes, all right, sometimes I will take a nap in the afternoon, right? Just in this office, you know, and that's, you know, sometimes that's all it takes too, is just, you know, especially when you get a few hours of sleep at night like I do. Anyway, that's it for today. I hope that's been interesting, and hey, I talk to you guys on Monday.